Welcome to another weekly live stream. Back after a couple week hiatus because I was ill and had trouble talking and stuff. Really bad cold. Anyway, we're back to the AI stuff. I'm hoping to get this wrapped up soon. I really wanted to work on something else tonight, but I'm like, that was more of like try to just chase distractions rather than get actual work done. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and shift scenes. Look at the heroes and superheroes and whatnot. Uh-oh. Ah, there it is. Oh no, it's going away. It worked for a second. Oh no. Why is it not working? Maybe because this is off the screen? That's not good. Oh, maybe this will be a really short live stream. It was working fine earlier. Maybe I need to unplug it and replug it in. Oh boy. How did I fix that before? So let me turn this light on too. Ooh, that's bright. Yeah, how did I fix this before? There's something that I unplug and plug back in, and it makes things magically work. And it's not necessarily the thing itself. It might have been my KVM switch. Well, here goes nothing. Let me try unplugging some things and plugging them back in and see what fixes it. Ugh. Oh wait, I didn't do anything yet. Okay, let me try unplugging this. Okay, I have no idea what that was that I unplugged. Nope. Alright, let me try unplugging this, because this is the KVM switch, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, that was the stream controller. Well, oh, it almost worked. Son of a bitch. Alright, let me move this. Let me close the game, just in case that's at issue. It's like it's just slightly out of sync, right? Oh, it's trying hard, isn't it? Why though? Let me try unplugging my audio interface. Ah, son of a... Everything always gets buried that I'm not using in any given moment. Where is the... There it is. I like to leave the audio interface plugged in because it otherwise it pops up a thing every time the driver starts up. Oh boy. You should do yeah. So this is what I get for doing two computers streaming, right? Let's try unplugging whatever this is. Okay, that might have been... Nope, it's not the Elgato. I don't know what I just unplugged. Okay, let's try this one. I think this one's the device itself. Yeah. And so OBS is left with whatever was there. which isn't live. Let's try plugging it back in. It definitely did something on my end. Okay, so how do I salvage this? Because now I've truly borked it. My experience is that once I've unplugged the Elgato, it will not recover. But let me try unplugging the display port, maybe. Okay. It's doing its best to reboot, but so I mean I may have to switch over and do one computer streaming, in which case maybe I can just go over. Oh gosh, I don't even have stuff checked out over there. I was thinking I could just do it on the computer that's streaming. Let me try unplugging the something else to get the USB stuff to reset. Nope. Yeah, so see, like without a computer reboot, I'm not sure I can get that Elgato working anymore. Alright, let me see if I can take over with OBS on the main computer. I mean, it sucks though. I was really getting used to the two computer streaming. It's just very fragile. I wonder if I can just take over. I guess we'll see. The thing is, I was getting to the point where this this computer that runs old Windows 7 is getting to the point where it can't run things anymore. I'm not sure it's going to connect. Alright, well, if this doesn't work, what I might do is... Oh, crap, I really wanted to show you guys some stuff that I'd worked on. Perhaps I could check it out over there. Ugh. Yeah, because this is not... This is not... Let's see, I can't start streaming. It's not going to do anything. So, like, it's got... Yeah, we got like 6 viewers on watching me struggle with my streaming setup that's not working. Yeah, see, this thinks it's streaming, but it's not. I'm pretty sure, yeah, because YouTube only sees my other. Let me try... Oh, no, you wouldn't have audio on this computer anyway. I've got to use the other machine. Hopefully you guys can still hear me talking and stuff. If you can hear me talking right now, say something in the chat. And what we will do is I will try to get it running on the other computer. Yep, okay, cool. I was worried that when I tried to take over the stream that it killed the feed, but git commit clean up and added some objects. Man, this sucks. Yeah, I don't know how much development we'll be able to do, but I can at least show you what I worked on. Crap. Okay, so what we will do is I will switch over to this computer. I will... Can I go to just screen? Yeah. just screen is not working though. Yeah, but like it was frozen, right? Frozen at the last. Oh, maybe resetting the scene will work. Nope. See, Elgato no signal. And this is not working either. Display capture. Oh, okay. Yes. Aha. Okay. So at least I have options now. This is, the standard BS that we normally have to deal with. Yeah, so that's so let's let me do this, which is real quickly go to blank for a second. Actually, let's do the title card with music while I come up with less embarrassing views to show everybody, so that you guys don't see my personal email and all that other garbage. Do I even have this checked out here? So we might get to like dive deep into, see, it would be under GitHub. I do have a Mythruna. Okay, so that gets us set there. Let me minimize my email and a whole bunch of other windows. You guys don't really need to see all my private chit chat. What I could do is this, and then, oh no, it's not the, crap. So old Windows had a nice little button you could hit to like minimize all your applications at once. I think that's all of them. Alright. Okay, back to the scene. Oh, nope, we gotta go back to just the screen. Okay. So you don't get a webcam. Actually, maybe we could do webcam if I turn on display capture and off video capture. Does that work? No, again, I've got a... So this was copied over from my other computer, so it doesn't know... There we go. Alright, so that has all the things. Yeah, we've got like the Drosta effect. Okay, and so this is weird because we got double. So that is the one problem with this scene. Let me turn off chat for a second. But at least you got the webcam. It's a little bigger than you're used to, maybe. From the old days, rather. Okay, then I can move this down. Alright, and then let's see what we can do. It may be that I have to switch back and forth a lot. Oh, and you know what? I'm running Java 18 over there too. Oh boy. This is going to go poorly. Do I even have Java 18? No, I don't. So I can't actually run the game over here unless we install JDK 18, which I probably have in a folder somewhere. Maybe it's in Java. That's JDK 8. Where would I have installed it from? Hold on a second. Let me see if I can track that down. Switching screens for a second. JDK 18. That's yeah, okay. So, oh, you know what? I bet I can't install JD. Oh no, that's the newer computer. Never mind. Of course I can. Alright, so let me copy this. Back downloads. Oh man. It's always something, right? 2DZ:\PSP downloads Java. Here. Oops. Why cannot I do that? All.zips. Here we go. Oh, that's the docs. What I want is the... There we go. Get used to certain command line completion and then something messes you up. Okay. Let's go back over here. See, I know from experience that things will work better if I copy them over here from the network. JDK 18 to dot. Yep. Alright, let's see if this will actually install, and hopefully it doesn't require a reboot. Otherwise we're stuck, and I'll just tell you about stuff I've been working on. So hold on. So 420 megabytes. No, I install these in the root when possible. Perhaps that is gonna screw me up. Let me see where I installed it on the other computer. Yep, just JDK-18. Cool. This way, if I have to copy any scripts over or anything, I'm good to go. Alright. So that was everyone else's 3 weeks. Yeah, I caught like a really bad cold, like not COVID bad, and I tested and I didn't have COVID, but the whole family got it, and my wife was the last one to get it. Yeah, and it took out my voice, and I had like a chest cold. I've still not fully recovered. Like I have most of my lung capacity back, but I get tired really easily because it's not fully back yet. Anyway, while this is doing its thing, let me see if I'm set up to check out. Yeah, it's just. Let me see if I'm set up to check out. Well, first of all. Yeah. So, Windows installers like to take over the whole computer. I actually don't know if you guys are actually seeing streaming right now, to be honest. Let me see. Hate those kind of bugs. Much prefer the electronic variety as much as I might state otherwise in the moment. Yeah, right. Yeah, I hated it. Like, fortunately, like the bad parts hit me at different times. So I had like the sinus pressure, headaches, achiness all over. I had that bit for a few days, 1 week, and was able to sleep through most of it. Yeah, okay, cool. Oh yeah, I forgot, like you guys can see I can't see me, but you guys can see me. I miss being able to see me on the other computer. Man, this has taken a long time. But then well, while I was doing that, I'm gonna copy over something else then too. What was I going to say? Um, so then, like, when it finally moved to my chest, fortunately, all that had passed. And so I had, like, a couple days where at least I had that energy, you know, that you feel when the headache and the achiness goes away. Despite the fact that my lungs were, you know, I had, like, the smoker's cough or whatever. And I don't smoke. Okay, so I think what I have is Java newest. And that is... I'm going to have to upgrade Gradle too. I should just keep the main computer up and running. Tar to CVZ. Oh, no, jar. Oh, tar. We'll do tar. C-CVZF. I know lots of techniques for clearing my lungs, so fortunately, and the weather started turning nice. One of the ways is to walk a lot. Ways do things that make you breathe. The more you breathe, the faster that stuff clears out. And so, fortunately, the weather got a little nicer, and I was able to breathe more. Okay, so I'm going to tar up my Gradle directory. See, if I had time, I'd tar up the whole Mythruna directory, and then we'd be sure this would work. But that's not going to happen. Okay, so I've got those two things. Let's see. And this is still going. I see. This is the annoying thing. It asks me, the Windows thing asking me if it has permission, but it doesn't always pop up. So you have to notice that it's just hanging out in your start bar. So anyway, yeah, pineapple juice and lots of walks. And then I got one of those nasal irrigation systems to help me a little bit as I was finishing up the sinus part of it. Back to PSpeed, temp, Java newest. Yep. Okay, let's try Java env newest. This is asking me a question. Click next steps. No, we're good. Let's see, Java dash version. Yay! Okay, well we got through one hurdle, which was to okay, so then let's try GitHub Moss and pull down all this stuff, and hopefully Git is set up. Because that's the other thing, is Git changed its auto authentication at some point. I'm not sure I've converted this over. So I may be able to check this stuff out, but I might not be able to push it again. Yeah, we got lots of updates to do. Okay, so let's open another. Let's open another window. Development. Oops. See, on my computer I have batch files to do all this. I just type, because that other computer crashes not often, but like often for me. Maybe a couple times a month, it'll blue screen. And I hate that. I'm just used to being able to just sit back down in the comfy chair and get right back into things. So I have it set up. I have like a recover.cmd that opens up all my different windows and stuff that I normally use. All right, cd GitHub Mythruna. Do the same thing. This will be big because we've got all those blend file changes and. But it'll be interesting to see so this will be an interesting test to see what I've forgotten to check in, right? Oh, while this is doing this, let me copy Zcon downloads. No, pspeed temp gradle.zip to here. tar-xvzf. Great. Oh, wait. Gradle-version. What version of Gradle are we running? Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doo. Come on. Why you take so long? Probably because of you. This is a machine with 8 CPUs, but it's got to be bottlenecked by the file system like everybody else. So this is Gradle 412. And so my typical thing is that, yeah, so 4.10.2 looks like I already have a 4.10.2. Oh, I see. That's the Gradle all. So let me rename Gradle to Gradle-4.10.2, and then we'll tar xvzf Gradle.tgz xvzf, yes. I gotta be careful because my brain knows how to do all this stuff, but it doesn't usually do this kind of stuff while on a live stream, so I have to double check because one wrong keystroke can really mess you up in some of these cases. So GitHub Moss. Let's see. We got all the things. I'm thinking that perhaps the build.gradle file is not up to date. Let me check, make sure I've committed all of the things that are important. So I mean, you guys are maybe getting a little bit of an education in what goes into. Okay, so cool. I do have those build Gradle files. I have not committed some things to the playground. Let me just go through. So common tool state. Okay, so I have some things I need to check in just to be sure. And so 1 second. And you guys can't see what I'm doing because I'm doing it on the other computer. That sucks, but that's the way it is. Okay, so crig, yes. Yes. No. Yes. No. No. Okay, git add. Okay, and then we will say git commit. Come on, git, come on. Why you gotta take so long? Okay, panicked commit, trying to get live stream to run on other computer. That way I don't have to think about what I'm committing here. I just know I've been running with it for quite a while. And there's okay, so hopefully, gosh, you know, I actually have a forked version of JMonkey Engine as well, but that one I zip up for every release, so I should be able to get that one pretty quick. 1 second. Dir, so m2 dir c repository dir. Where do I do them? Let me look at my release notes. Oh man, and I'd like got all the files cleaned up in my editor and stuff ready to go too. This is really annoying. For those of you hanging out, thank you. I guess maybe it's entertaining to watch somebody panic. All right, what am I looking for? Oh yeah, how I build the system. So that would be release instructions.txt, and what do? I go to here and I zip it right into the subdirectories. That's what, okay, so cd m2 repository com.jme3, right, or org, or jmonkey engine. Yep, that's it. There they, no. Org, okay, copy jmonkeyengine.zip to z:\, psp tip. Bit late reply, yeah, GitHub stopped support for password authentication for push and other connections if you don't have the yeah, I've generated it, but like I don't remember if I set it up on that computer. I know I have it working on Mythruna, the main Mythruna development computer, because that's where I do most of my GitHub work. But yeah, the personal access token, which is what I have mostly set up, and that's but I think that it lets you check out code. I think it wouldn't have let me update regular Mythruna if I didn't have the personal access token, because that's private. That's a private repo. It shouldn't have even let me authenticate. So maybe I have set it up. Oh yeah, because I used to do builds on that computer. I still do builds on that computer. No, that's not true. But I did set it up because I do the website development over there on that computer. It's a nicer experience. Because I can run the latest Oracle virtual machine. Yep. So I had to run the latest Oracle VirtualBox to run a virtual machine to run Linux so that I can develop the website. And I did that on that computer. So I set up personal access tokens there because I was trying to do it all in Windows at first. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure the PAT is set up in there. Anyway, and then I need to. I think the release instructions are actually checked in, so I could probably pull them up. Reload. Yeah, we like to hear the reload. Since Mythruna, we should be able to go into client, and then so one of my quirks is release instruction. Yep, release instruction like TNC. Okay, cool. So these are the release instructions for Mythruna, and the part I'm trying to emulate here is I probably could just do this too, and then I don't have to worry about all of the SimSilica stuff that's checked in or out. But what we want to do is let's make a new window, cd m2 repository org, copy z:\psp\temp /jmonkeyengine.zip, and then we will unzip it. So this is what I do to get make sure I have all of the right binaries when I build the release on Linux. So because I have a lot of stuff that's not fully published to Maven repositories, this is just the simplest way to deal with that, is I just zip up the whole Maven repository, and then I don't have to worry about the Linux build having somewhat different binaries than the Windows version and so on. So I think we just unzip. Maybe unzip doesn't work here. Oh, there it goes. Alright, so that's doing its thing, and while that's doing its thing, let me do the same thing for the SimSilica stuff. That way if I have like a local change to SimMath or something, we don't have to worry about it. And SimSilica is the big one. It's 2 gigabytes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll have to remember to go back and remove that from temp later. Thing is, it's got like a lot of versions of a lot of different projects, because there's a lot of so SimSilica is my company, and I produce a lot of open source stuff. So if we go back down here to SimSilica, we can see there's a ton of, between the Moss stuff and the stuff that's already public, you know, SimEthereal, SimArboreal, there's a whole bunch of them. Zeus, just a bunch, Lemur, and so it's a quite sizable thing. But let's see if this will let me, at least while we're doing that, let's see how far we get with something simple. Action is one of the libraries that shouldn't have a lot of external dependencies. And once the Gradle demons start up, we should be better. Well, you guys watch that. I'm going to check on my copy. Cool, did it. There's a striking resemblance for this when I at work, sitting at a customer site, you know, with like you know, big bosses and stuff hovering over you, trying to, is it working yet? Is it working yet? Is it working yet? I'm definitely getting some of those key developer in the field feelings right now. So this is a little bit nostalgic and uncomfortable at the same time. It's really interesting. All right, so that worked. See, unfortunately, I can't just install them all. I have to go through one at a time, because there's some of these that aren't set up. I mean, I probably could, but I feel like from experience, so then I can see what errors there are too. So we have to get, yeah. So yeah, let me look at the size of SimSilica zip. Right, because that's 747 megabytes, so it's 2 gigabytes, 2.7 gigabytes. It copied pretty quick. Okay, so the other, yay, blow them away. I don't even remember what I was saying. If you guys were interested in what I was saying and want me to continue it, just let me know. Post it in the chat. But yeah, I was getting nostalgia vibes from, you know, the panicky development that has to happen when you're sitting there trying to get a customer demo working that was supposed to start 5 minutes ago, and then last minute connection problems or something. Big zip. I found the fact that we got one. Oh, I was talking about how I think some of these projects are not quite set up right, and so when I install them, they overwrite something else. I'm not 100% sure, but by installing them one at a time, we also get to see if we're missing anything without just one big giant. So hopefully this time it should work. That's better. It's at least trying to compile now. So as I go through, I can talk about what each of these libraries does. So we did action first, which is the object action stuff. That's what that's sort of the abstraction that lets us have, you know, in Mythruna, that's how we define, you know, custom game object types, right? Where we can, in GroovyScript or other add-on scripts, at least basically you could do it in Java too, but basically that allows us by string to call different actions on objects and have like a type hierarchy and stuff that can be defined at runtime. BPOS is like the, it's like a low-level library for the dynamic body positioning stuff. SimEthereal is the open source library that's already out there, released, people use it, that allows like syncing of objects over the network, but BPOS is the one that like makes that compatible with Zeus in the sense that it creates a special component that knows how to deal with, a special entity component that knows how to deal with you know, that object syncing over the network and stuff, and so it looks like reasonably invisible to the client. It can just request components that have a body position, and then it can ask for the interpolated position at a given time and stuff like that. C-rig is the character rig stuff. That's what allows us to have, you know, Mythruna girl, which has her skeleton and her collision parts and her attachment points and stuff like that on the back end without all the, you know, textures and stuff, and then on the front end, you know, it syncs it up, and there's some components in here, you know, some entity component style components that allow that sync to sync to the client. By the way, all of these are the eventually Mythruna open source software, MOSS. So they're all like licensed as open source. I just haven't released them because I don't have the time to support them yet. But if you were a patron, even a $1 patron, any paid patron, I give you early access to this stuff. So I add you to the GitHub repo and you can check it out. And there's been a couple people that have actually built little games and stuff on top of some of the stuff, because that's where the blocks, so we'll get to there. But so I think we need Fractal, because Fractal is some Fractal utilities that the Mythruna terrain generation uses. So that's your Perlin noise, the ability to layer and combine noises together, multifractals, things like that. The cellular noise. It's not a big package. And so then after that, we'll do FSM, which is not happy with this. This is a finite state machine. It's not really a finite state machine in the true sense, but it is a state machine library. I'm not 100. It's what Mythruna's GUI is built around, so that when you switch around to different parts, it knows which windows to close and which windows to open and what app states have to be. Basically, it coordinates the transition from one UI to another. That's not what it's like. It's written to be any kind of state machine, but that's what Mythruna uses it for. And I kind of don't like some aspects of it, so there may be a redesign. And of course, we've got the GOP stuff, which we worked on together. I do need to get back to that. Even if I don't end up using this in Mythruna, it's a useful little piece of kit. Okay, so that was quick. Groovy EXT, I believe, is so Groovy. You can have class extensions that allow you to, you know, preset methods and operator overloading and stuff on classes that don't normally happen. So like the math classes like Vec3D and stuff like that. I can give him operator overloading, so that you could just, you know, this vector plus this vector. You don't have to call the plus method. You can just stuff like that. I/O, I think this is what gives me the binary input and output stream, where you can, or bit input and output streams, where you can write any number of bits at once, which is super handy if you're trying to write compressed streams. M account is the interfaces for handling user account management. And then I think it has a default implementation that's based on JSON files on the disk, and, you know, SHA-256 password encryption and stuff like that. CDM block. This is the core. This, we talked about this before. This one's the one that renders the blocks. So this is, you define block types, collision shapes and things like that, and then the parts, and then this is what generates the geometry for that and can tell you, it can do lighting and stuff like that. So mblock fizz is the extension. Oh yeah, so that's right. This is just a holdover. mblock fizz B was the rewritten version. It's the extension, so there's mfizz, which is my physics engine, and mblock fizz is the extensions to the physics engine that allow it to work with the block types and stuff. So they have the collision shapes and yeah, mgen is the building generation stuff, I believe. And mmod is the oops. So if you want to have mods in a game and you want to have little descriptors on what's in the mod, dependency chains and stuff like that, and like some default scripting and live reloading and stuff, that's what mmod is. That's what a lot of my tools. Mythruna uses it for its scripting, and allows you, and it works with Java code too. Physics from scratch, or it is from scratch. I do intend at some point. So mphys, the physics library, which we'll get to in a second. Are we on that one yet? So we just did mmod, which is the module development. Mphys. So mphys is like in multiple parts. So there's the main thing, which is like mphys, which is the zoned physics. So the breaking up the world into zones, and you have like active zones and passive zones and stuff like that, and it keeps track of which zones are active and puts the other ones to sleep and unloads them. And so it live loads and unloads objects and stuff like that. Within that, there's the possibility that I could plug in real physics engines that weren't developed by me to manage each of the zones, assuming that the physics engine is flexible enough to let me control like which objects are loaded and not, and how they interact with their neighbors. But that's why I wrote my own physics engine. That, and because I could write really efficient colliders for block shapes. Because I know what the structure of an array of blocks is, and so there were some optimized ways I could do collisions within there, and they're approximations, but they work pretty good, as we've seen. But yeah, it's my own. I don't recommend it. I recommend using somebody else's. If you write, if you are writing your own game, this physics engines come close to driving me crazy many times. And there's some things it just can't do, and it's beyond my limit to fix it. Like proper joints and linkages like that. I never did get it working right. They're just so unstable. And so I look forward. There's Jolt is a very popular one right now. I look forward to looking into Jolt at some point to see if I can bolt that in place of my physics core. The whole thing's written very modularly, so I'm hoping that it works out. Because even like the collision system was pluggable. That's why I was able to adapt it to mblocks and stuff. So you could, in theory, run a fluid optimized simulator for one zone, and solid body pool table engine in another. Yeah, I mean in theory, but right now, like, they're all the same. But if you imagine the world broken up into 2D zones, in this case 32 by 32 meters, it keeps track of if there are active objects in this zone, it knows that it at least has to have the objects loaded for the other zones just for collisions. And then I think there's a third level. So it's like it needs to know. Yeah, there's some like neighbor politics almost, right? How the objects interact with each other. I think the immediate zones all have to have live objects because those may enter the active zone that the player is in, kind of thing. And then the ones outside of that, they just have to be there in case something in one of these zones bumps into them, kind of thing. And I might not have done it that way. I may have just duplicated them all. If they're on a zone boundary, I may have just duplicated them over the zone boundary. I get confused between the physics and the networking because they do it differently for different reasons. But it's all basically, to handle an infinite world, I had to break the world up into chunks and deal with just the physics for that chunk. Unlike other block world games, if you walk away from a town and there's still activity there, the physics is still happening there. Now, Mythruna will typically put the town to sleep, but that's the idea anyway. And all of the current physics is set up to put itself to sleep when it's not interacted with a player. But the physics can continue otherwise, and as needed. So anyway, mProgress is just basically like a progress reporting library. There's like there's an interesting problem in software development that a lot of times when you have like this library, the top level, the actual game code calls this library, which calls this library, which calls this library, which calls this library, and this library at the bottom wants to do some work, and it's going to take a long time. It wants to report progress to the user. Like without some system in place, you've got to manage to bubble that progress all the way back through the layers you've called. And mProgress is a library that allows you to report progress here in a sort of global general way, labeled with, and you can have nested progress and all this other stuff. And then up at the top, the client, the UI, can ask the mProgress library, hey, are there any kind of background work going on right now that I should be displaying progress for? And so then it knows to pop up a progress when these things are going. So that's how progress works in Mythruna, because you get like some low-level stuff that's calculating terrain and whatnot. It doesn't want to have to bubble that progress reporting all the way back up through the layers that got there. It doesn't even know what layers called it, and so on and so forth. So anyway, an mWorld, that is what manages the world. So you have the blocks, which is just say give this size array of 15 by 15 cells. How do you render that as geometry? Whereas mWorld manages the database of the world, the database of the objects. So if you wanted to write your own, Mythruna-like game or Minecraft-like game, mWorld would be where you'd start, because that has the paging for the infinite world. You plug in your own terrain generators, and then it'll do. It even has the stuff for the far terrain and near terrain and all that other stuff. So that was mWorld. NameGen. That's my Markov chain based learning how to generate random names of towns and people. That's open source. SAO2 mblock is so SAO2 is existing released open source library by SimSilica, and it's just kind of a game library that ties a bunch of stuff together. And one of the things it does is manage game systems. So you can register a bunch of game systems in it, make sure to run them in order, and so on and so forth. And so this is just like SAO2 mblock is like the game systems for running, mfizz and the mblock fizz and stuff like that. So the interim layers can just wait on return without worrying about progress. Correct. Yeah, they just say, because a lot of times this happens on background threads anyway. Some thread has said, hey, I want to get this terrain image from this part of the world, and it's waiting on that response. Meantime, there may be multiple other threads generating that request, and they can all like just report status to the mProgress library, and they know they're a child of this other process. And then up at the client side, where you have a UI and you might care about this, you can register a listener that says, hey, anytime anybody starts posting progress, I want to show it to the player. And so then it'll pop up standard GUIs, and they have like even like some nested progress, so that it'll show like the the main progress and then the little children, which we use. Like if you join a Mythruna world quick enough and it's generating a new world, you'll see that it'll have like the main one and have like a lot of little progresses going shooting underneath and stuff. But yeah, it's I don't want to say I've solved the problem, but because I still think there's some rough edges around how I've done it, but it's definitely a more convenient way than passing like progress reporter objects around everywhere. And yeah, and there's actually two different versions that are in the tool. This is not a great, but okay. So then so this is actually the SIO2 mfizz is the one that manages the physics engine as a game system and registers the stuff with the entity system, so that things with shape info and a spawn position get turned into physics objects, that kind of thing. And then the last but not least, we've got tools, which I think I'm just going to try Gradle install here, though this is the one package I think that overwrites itself. So we'll see. But this is where blockhead, the rigger tool, what else? The Shaper tool, the open source versions of these, without the Mythruna customizations, are here. So you can, once you've defined your own block set in the Shaper tool, you can load it into Blockhead and make objects that you could load in your MWorld database and all this other stuff. So, and so while when I say I haven't published these because I don't want to provide support for them. If you are a patron and you do get early access and you ask a question in Discord, I will answer the question. I'm not saying I don't provide any support. As a software developer, there's a certain amount of your own time you have to give to manage a publicly available open source project. And with all of these libraries and how they interact with each other, that's a big time sink that I'd much rather use for developing Mythruna right now. So when Mythruna gets farther along, I will publish all that stuff. So you can safely use it. It's licensed in the files as open source. It's just not publicly available yet. Okay, come on. This is our last one. And then we can see if Mythruna will even run an hour into the stream. Yeah, so because I do with tools, it's installing a bunch of things. But the thing is, like, the tools have like interdependencies between each other. There's like this tools common package, tools common. All right. And let me just see if Mythruna will run, or if we're still missing something. Because if Mythruna runs, then that means that we might be able to get the rigger to run. I have to make sure I've copied my config over so that it's running the right modules. Anyway, I would do that while this was running, but I want to make sure this completes okay, and I want to watch what's doing. Yeah, so it's generating the name sets. So these are the name gen stuff. So it takes a data set of sample names, place names for a bunch of different languages, male and female name samples, and it builds a Markov chains so that it can randomly, based on statistics, randomly, kind of like the older cousin, the older dumber cousin of LLMs in a way, right? This is just basically these syllables appear a lot in the same row together, so therefore when we're randomly generating them, we're more likely to generate those 3 syllables together and that kind of thing. Yeah, boy, when you haven't built in a while, it's got a job to do, I guess. Crossing my fingers that this actually runs, because then we're close to being able to do stuff. Oh no! Does not override or implement super type. Rutro. Do I have some client stuff that's not committed? Let me see what's going on over here. So I'm back on the other computer for a second. Is there maybe removed stuff? Oh, you know what I didn't do is, I think I checked in some more stuff to one of these. No, not that one. One of these I did, and then I need to, yeah, so... So that was... Yeah, I don't even remember. Anyway, so something's missing here. What is it complaining about? Maybe I've got local code here. Nope. And I'm running the main branch. So what's it complaining about? It's complaining item container view. Method does not override or implement super type. Let me just see. Tool state. So we just did. Yeah, so we ought to be able to go tools common, Gradle install. Fortunately, Gradle won't do anything if it doesn't have to do anything. While this is doing it, I'm thinking about the other problem. Because my system says everything's checked in. But if it won't compile, it won't even let me run the rigger tool. So let me item container view. Let me make sure I can run on the other computer. Maybe I broke something. Nope, it tries to run. I'm opening the file over on the other computer. Okay, so what is it trying to override? Item container view 547. Well, that's not helpful. Java, thanks. Oh, it's so weird to see this dialogue teeny. I'm usually I have mine expanded. Oops. Oh, that's what are we doing? What are we doing? I didn't. Source main Java. There we go. Client UI item container view, and it said 547. Drag handler. Uh-oh. Do I have... Let me make sure everything over here is checked in. I have modified some things, but not related to this. And so drag handler is a lemur. Maybe I'm running a forked lemur locally. Get status. That is what has happened. So what I need to do, rather than rush and check in stuff for an actual open source project, I'm going to repack that zip and move it over. Sorry about that, guys. Nope, not this one. I want this one. And where's my... Okay. So give me a minute to re-zip up all the silica dependencies. That's what it is. I have some local changes to lemur. Why haven't I checked that yet? Let's see. Let's see. I have added some loggers. That's not important. Drag handler. I changed... I did. I added a... Maybe I changed the method signature of can drag. Oh no, it didn't used to have one. I added a can drag that implementations can override, and that is not checked in yet. This is what I'm talking about. Like, so when you support an open source project, there's like more responsibility. You make a change, you've got to like put release notes together, do some basic testing and stuff. And so like sometimes I hack things into Lemur for my own purposes, because that is an actual open source project, but then I don't commit them yet because or I don't push up the changes because I don't want to do all the other stuff that I need to do to make that happen. And this is one of those examples. Come on, finish zipping up. So so while that's doing its thing, I wish it would make a sound when it was done. Well, it's on Shaper. So it's got tool. Oh, it's got all the sim stuff to go through. I was going to say, I could go over the difference between what I'm doing and a behavior tree. So activities and behavior trees are very similar, except for how you build them. So if you have familiarity with behavior trees, activities are kind of a way to write behavior trees in code. And if we had like the full 2 hours, I was going to show you, that's what we were going to be doing tonight, is writing some more activities, and then I could talk about that, why they're very much like behavior trees. It's just you write them in different ways. So hold on a second. Let me copy that over again. Yes. All. Admin work, and also... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just, you know, I don't like to just check in random changes that are going to break people. And so there's some extra due diligence that's involved. Whereas I'm just breaking me, or if the change I made only works for Mythruna today, that's okay, because I'm barreling through trying to get something done. You know, I'm on a thread, and in my life right now, interruptions, a 5-minute interruption sometimes turns into a 5-hour interruption because life gets in the way, right? So if I have to stop doing something, there's a 50-50 chance I won't start it again for some period of time. And so there's no such thing as a 5-minute interruption. Or at least that's the rule, right? You got to think of it that way. And so I do my best to focus on what I'm working on and try not to get sidetracked by like things. And so then I'll take a weekend here and there where I just go back through the open source changes I've made and push them back up. My local version of JMonkey Engine is so far forked that and I'm back several versions, that there's going to be at some point in the future when I want to make Mythruna look better and maybe get the UI to perform a little better, I'm going to have to take 3 or 4 weekends to make sure all of the bugs that I've fixed locally have been fixed in newer versions of JMonkey Engine, fix any new bugs that come up when I switch to the new version of JMonkey Engine, etc. And none of that gets monsters and dungeons implemented, and so it's going to wait, right? Okay, so this should have fixed our problem, maybe? Let's see. Should have a lot less to do this time. Oh no. Which this time, same problem. But that should not be. Let me make sure we're running the same version of Lemur. 17.0 snapshot. Grep Lemur. .17.0 snapshot. Oh boy. Let me try one more thing real quick. Because I said A. Now let's say all just to be sure. And then make sure that is Lemur even in this? Yes, it is. Lemur 17.0 snapshots. Not there though. How's that work? Like the 117 snapshot wasn't even there. So where are we getting that? Oh, there it is. 17.0 snapshot. All right, let's try one more time. This time we'll just see if it'll compile. And then we may have to get... Well, it updated something because now Lemur thinks it... or Gradle thinks it needs to redo everything. So something got updated. And if this doesn't work, we'll get a little trickier. Okay. It got farther. All right, so let's try Gradle run. So yeah, it must have just not updated. Hey! Oh no, that looks ugly. Oh boy. My screen is going like, oh, I did full screen. Oh guys, I'm sorry. I don't know what that did to the stream. You guys still on? So chat, let me know if the stream is still running. It seems to be. So hopefully let me run it. Yeah, okay, cool. I don't trust so this is like ancient lore, right? But I don't trust full screen to come back correctly or to deal with other things correctly. Holy moly. Let's so nice. Yeah, I just don't trust it. So let me just make sure everything's running. So we'll create a new world. Live stream world. And we'll randomize the seed. Okay, because that's how I could show you what I was talking about. So that popped up creating preview was one of the examples of a progress generator. Man, that sound is still really loud to me. I don't know about to you guys, but so we'll generate that world. So you see, this is like the main progress. These are sub-progresses, and sometimes you'll get more nested ones depending on how many threads are doing their thing. What do you get? Like, eventually I'll replace these with like, you know, more game worldy immersive descriptions, you know, to deal with the fact that we're like syncing some kind of remote portal thing to transfer our consciousness into a different world or whatever. Yeah, it's louder than my voice. Yeah, unfortunately I can't bring up the settings right now. But I probably could tweak the desktop audio to be a little quieter for you guys. Still loud for me. So hopefully that's better. So this is when it's that mmod. This is when it's loading all the modules from mmod. So the progress generator said it wanted to show progress for something that finished so quick that it didn't get a chance to show anything, and that's why you get this little blank down at the bottom. Yes, allow access. Good lord. Allow, I said. Okay, so let's create a character real quick. Come on. Randomize the name. Man, this is good enough. So let's yeah, just wear whatever we got here. Pants, pants, pants. Let me. The problem is it's still really loud for me, so hold on a second. Let me get her into the game. And I did this so quick that we'll get to see a lot of this. So this is like a lot of the nested progress that's going on. And yeah, so if you said 2/3, whereas I've got it down just a little below half. So like right here is what you want. Like maybe right here. Is that good? Thing is, I'm about to turn it down again anyway, in the game. Of course, I could also turn the volume down on my speakers, but it's so I'm not used to actually having sound when I play, because my other computer doesn't have speakers hooked up. I didn't even think to look at what this world looks like. Okay, so we don't have music anymore, but I'm gonna still turn it down a little bit. Okay, so we can walk a little bit. I really do want to have volcanoes in the world. And that these like craters we've got up here. Let me see if I can walk over. One thing is this computer is more powerful than my Mythruna computer by a lot, so I don't know if it has a better graphics card or not, but it's definitely a more powerful computer. That would be totally amateur hour. Yeah, no worries. I think that sometimes the amateur opinion can be more important than the expert opinion on things of taste. Yeah, like big smoke clouds, and yeah, like lava flowing down the sides. But the idea being that if you came up here, this would be a crater full of lava kind of thing. Although this isn't a true crater. It's only got like a little crater. Sometimes they have like the really big craters, like in the public world. Oh wow, we've got a big cave system over there. Big enough that it's messing with the drainage, because that's probably solid over there, but maybe not. Yeah, it is. It is. So like the far terrain stuff is imperfect. So sometimes you'll get, when you have these big caves, you get to see through them, the backs of them, when you're looking at it from far away when it's right at the edge. But man, that's a deep cave. Crazy. All right, so let's see what's on the map. Nearest town's Colina. Oh, we got, yeah, Musenje, or Musenye, I don't know. Rugambanzi. I wonder if these are like the names based on the Indian subcontinent. So let's go this way. I know so I don't play the game often because I get stuck in wandering around a world. Like if I generate a new world, it's almost compulsory that I need to walk around it a little bit. So let me make sure I'm still heading in the right. Yeah. So if we head over to the edge of this caldera over here, this little micro caldera, then we should be able to see the town in the distance. Whoopsie, whoopsie, whoopsie. So I've been thinking a lot lately about the starting of Mythruna. Like when you start here, I purposely put people up on the mountain so that they get that far view right away. But I've been toying with the idea of having, optional scenarios you can get yourself roped into that instantly take you somewhere else in the world. And like if you were into survival, maybe there's some scenario or quest line you can take where bandits pick you up and drop you out in the middle of the wilderness somewhere, and you just got to sort it out, rather than having a nice path to town and so on. But anyway, yeah, that's the town over there, Colina. And so we could walk over there. It would take a while. How long? Well, it's 1,400 meters away or so at 6 meters a second. Although we could stress the engine out a little bit by doing super run. Oh, we got another, let's let the terrain load in. Whoa, oh, whoa, whoa, another cave system here. This is like really a lot of caves here. But yeah, for the volcanoes, I just thought it'd be cool to see like one of these big mountains on the horizon with like smoke pouring out of the top, to give you a reason to like want to go over and see what's going on over there. So, and at some point I've got to implement the ability, like when you're burning a fire and it throws smoke up, the ability to see those smoke trails from really far away. And a volcano would be an interesting stress test of that particular feature. But yeah, it would be fun if it could blow chunks of stuff into the surrounding area. Okay, so let's super run for a second until the terrain can't catch up anymore. I gotta tell you, even I don't know how well it's streaming, but playing it wise, this is a way better experience than the other computer when streaming and playing at the same time. Hello, birdies. Yeah, see, I don't play the game enough, really. Speaking of games, does anybody have a game they've been playing recently that they're super into? I just happened to notice that PlayStation was having a spring sale, and so I poked into it and noticed that there's a game called Styx, STYX, where you play like this goblin assassin thief thing. There's been 2 other games out over the years. Well, they just released a new one apparently, and it was like 25% off on the PlayStation Spring Sale. And I picked that up, and I played that all night. Like I went to bed at 10 o'clock this morning. I really like that game. I like the earlier versions better, I think, in a way. But if you don't know what the game is, it's not going to matter what I say about it. But anyway, I don't play games very often, so I'm calling it research. There was every now and then, like, I see a mechanic, I go, oh yeah, it'd be cool if Mythruna had that mechanic. And there's sometimes I see mechanics like, oh, I already planned to have that mechanic, or I already have that mechanic. So, in this case, there was one of the quests where I had to, like, investigate some stuff, and there were footprints on the ground that only I could see, kind of thing. And like, oh yeah, Mythruna's going to have that. Characters that can track footprints. Alright, so somewhere in here there's an NPC and he's got 3 pets. And I could tell that because it generated 3 pets. So let's see if any of them are a dog. Oh, he's right here. He or she. It's a she. Oh, yep, a dog and 2 Gafen. Hello, puppy. Hello, woof. Pet you. Okay, yeah. I pet you. Yep. So now she's going to follow me around. Okay. Alright, so it's working. She could give me a quest. I could go on a quest. Okay, so let's exit that. And let me copy my config over from the other computer. Yeah, see this? There we go. This one. What is it called? More rigor. Does that say where the mods should be? Yep. Okay, so copy rigor.config to pspeed temp. Yep. Yay. Alright, and so then in classic fashion, we will take one of these. No, we'll make a new one. We'll use this one. Development. Yeah, okay, so... Oh no, that's already been... We make a new one. It's just better. That way we can be sure. Nope, not Moss. Mythruna model set. Copy. dir/ad. More rigor config. Oh, it might already be set up. Econ pspeed temp rigor config. Yes. Gradle run rigor. I will be missing one thing already, I know, because I added it last minute. Git add source main rigor block models objects table. Let me just make sure I've got all of the models. Yep. Commit. Added a table model. I started creating a little place for the characters to eat lunch. And so I pulled in a table. Alright. Gradle run rigor. Let's see, will it work? I think it's been the last... Okay, so this one we want to do 16 by 9. So that everyone can see. Vsync, yes. Looks good. Uh-oh. Okay. Let me fix that. It's just easier if I check these in. They shouldn't be checked in, but it's just easier if I check them in. And then I'll have to make sure they don't get distributed with Mythruna later. But I think they're set up to have like when I generate the shape files, in the shaper tool when I generate them. I think it generates them in both places, so that I don't have to manually copy them, but we'll see. Boink. Let's try again. Are you going to work? One more file. Hopefully one more. I did look at the others. I didn't see one. Anyway. This is not a entirely bad exercise to have this as a backup for future live streams, but also as a backup for development in case that machine dies. It would be nice if I had already a development environment set up. Are you going to work this time? You guys can't see, but I'm pointing at the computer, letting it know I'm watching it. Now it's taking its time. Hey! Hey, that's great. Okay, so then let's see if this works. Did I check in the newer? Yay! It's even got the table and chairs. Woo! Alright. I think my table and chairs were broken. Like, I think that if I hit the chair button, she's going to go to the wrong chair. Yep. Cancel. Okay, so that's actually good, because then I can show you, like if I have her go to the bed. So she's going to calculate a path. Oh, so the other cool thing is I got door animation working. So she actually opens and closes the door. Yeah, it still doesn't step up yet, just kind of teleports up. But you can see her open the door. Yeah, it's the door position's not great. Okay, so she heads up here. She'll open this door too. Yep, walks in, closes the door. Okay, so then once we're in here, I can get her over into here, and then what you'll see is, let's unfollow, center camera, zoom in. Okay, so I can have her go sit down in this chair. Like she sits down. And then I can say, no, I want you to go to sleep. She'll get up. She'll run a series of animations. They're not great animations, but she gets in bed. So I need to have like a different, so that's, what that is it's the sit animation for sitting on the floor. Oh yeah, so she crosses her legs, right? Which when you're getting into bed, that's not really great. So I think probably there needs to be another one where, like if you were laying down and you just sat up, you'd have like your knees bent and your legs in front of you, so more casual sitting. And I think that would look better as far as that animation goes in the, so she's, so those are just a bunch of things I was playing with. I was also playing with getting her to be able to do like an action so that she could actually beat on the anvil, that kind of thing. Let's have her, let's see if over here if she can still make a dagger. So she should calculate her way down to the chest here, grab a rod on her way, I hope. Nope. So this is actually something I need to fix. There's like idea that an NPC, when they're about to do an activity and they know they're going to need, these 3 or 4 different objects, that they'll pick them up along the way. Because she could have picked up a rod there and she didn't. So that's one of the reasons that test is there. But right now she's like hardcore looking for a hammer first. And only after she has the hammer will she look for the rod. So she's going to grab the hammer from here. She'll grab the rod from there, and then she'll come over here and she'll make a dagger, and she'll put the dagger away. Open the door and put the dagger away. I should have her open the chest too. And so now that dagger's in the chest. Let's get her to stand over by the anvil. So here, and so I can spend like a couple minutes talking about the behavior tree versus what I call an activity, because I was running out of words for things, and it turned out I had already used activity for something else, and so I didn't actually save myself. But activity is something I like right now. See, we want to go here. We want to go to model set. And so let me show you what we've looked at it before, but let's do as a reminder. What do I want? I want mods. I want setup brain and setup brain agent. So the way let's just create dagger. So this is an activity you just set. Hey brain, do this activity. Create dagger. It's got these sub activities that it's going to run. The get by type for getting a hammer, whatever hammer it finds, whatever rod it finds. Walk to the nearest anvil. It has a very specific chest it wants to put the created dagger away in, and so then it's got a walk to nearest object to walk to that chest. And then when it's done, it has this created dagger, which is sort of the switch it uses to know it's done. And so when it starts, like this is when the activity is first initiated, it creates all these child activities with whatever parameters it needs. It wants 1 hammer and 1 rod, and then it wants to walk, to the nearest anvil. But only if we haven't already created a dagger, because we could be coming back after doing something else and starting again. And if we've already got a created dagger, we don't need to do it again, but we do want to still take it to the chest. So this is just sort of an optimization in the start that says, hey, if we've already done all this, we don't need to create these again. But the run is where the real magic happens, right? We said if we don't have a created dagger, we're going to get the hammer, and so we'll run this. We're going to fork off this other activity to get the hammer. If that fails, fail the whole operation. So if we're busy right now doing something else, then don't do anything else. And so now, if we've gotten the hammer, then we get the rod. So if we're busy getting the rod, don't do anything else. So this is just double checking, because there's actually a bug in the get hammer code where sometimes it'll walk right by the chest and not pick up the hammer. So I added these double checks in here, which normally you wouldn't have to do. They're just basically making sure it fails if it doesn't have the hammer and the rod. Eventually the action itself will do that. And so then now we're going to walk to the anvil. If that fails, we're going to fail the whole operation. If it succeeds, if we succeed in walking to the anvil, then we'll run the actions to create the dagger, which eventually, be its own little action. But right now, we just have all this little code in here that says, turn the rod into a dagger and change the shape and so on and so forth. And then we know we have the created dagger. And then, so if we come back through here, because basically this run method's called every frame, right? Or every AI frame, which may not be every visual frame. And so down here, if we're busy doing something else, just return. Otherwise, that means everything finished, and we've got a dagger. Walk to the chest, and because if we had failed, we wouldn't even come in here again. So then we walk to the chest, and if we get to the chest successfully, we put the dagger in it, right? And so that's what puts the dagger away. I like this because it's very declarative, and at each different time I have like the ability to have if statements and do something. But it is completely possible to construct this as a behavior tree, and the code doesn't even change that much as far as the doing goes. It's just that you wouldn't have this class at all. You wouldn't have a create dagger class. You would chain other behaviors together in a tree that had conditions. I don't have my graphics up, but you can imagine that at the top there would be sort of this sequence node where it's going to get the hammer, get the rod. Each of these would have sort of an if statement above it saying if you've already got the hammer, don't get the hammer. If you've already got the rod, don't get the rod. And so you'd end up with this tree of behaviors, which I find when they get really complicated, I lose the plot, right? And so this was my way of sort of turning it upside down. I didn't quite realize what I was doing when I was making it. I just knew I wanted it to work this way. I wanted it to be very declarative. I wanted to be able to read the script of what's happening and have like little modular things and be able to read the code. I come from a background of making visual scripting languages where you could draw nodes and links and things early in my career. We're talking back 1992, 1993. And we'd build entire applications using this sort of visual framework. And like the first version we had of doing this would allow you to put the nodes and the links wherever you wanted, and you could have, it was crazy. And then when we did a different kind of application that actually had user interface components and things that you could, because the first one was like phone voice response system type stuff. We did another one that was, interactive UIs, and you could put scripts behind buttons and whatnot. And in that one, we did like a strict sort of tree approach where you had like a chain of your main logic across the top, and then anytime you'd branch like an if-else, the else would be underneath it, and you'd just branch. And then so if you had like for loops, they would branch underneath, that kind of thing. Because it just gets so hard to manage when it gets deep. And the funny thing is that would then generate, that particular version would then generate like a text language, like an actual sort of computer language in a text file, and then compile that. It was our own sort of proprietary language because I didn't know any better at the time. And so like when we would give this tool to other companies to use, and you had like a reasonably seasoned developer using it, their first question was, can I just write the language itself? Do I have to go through all this visual stuff? Because it just it's way easier to write a whole bunch of code this way than it is to like drag and drop little icons and connect them with little arrows. So while I could configure a behavior tree, I just find it a little bit more straightforward to think of the logic this way. It's just, maybe it's a personal thing, but and there may be more to activities that break the behavior tree model. Certainly there's not going to be one master behavior like in a typical behavior tree. The player will enter through different modes, so there's going to be like a state machine on top. And so we have some of that already, which is what these, this is supposed to put it in sleep mode, into work mode, and then these would be tied together with a sleep activity, a work activity. And the sleep activity is not just get in bed and sleep, but it's like sleep activities. I need to be at my house. The house needs to be locked up. I need to have my clothes off. I need to have all my stuff put away, and I need to be in bed and sleeping. And so that's like the overarching sleep activity. And then if you were working, you'd have a work activity. And so these would be sort of the town. This is what I was going to work on tonight, right? But we're running out of time. These would be, I would replace these. These would be with the town level AI that's coordinating all the NPCs would say, it's time for you to sleep, it's time for you to eat dinner, it's time for you to work. And then those would associate with particular activities or modes of the particular NPC. And the activities would be more like this, that would have like a list of sub-activities. So say, well, I need to go to work, I need to unlock, I need to get ready, the shop ready for work, and these would sub-activities and so on. This would definitely resemble a behavior tree in concept, but would be, a list of, code, and you could have different if statements in there if you want to optimize, or if the particular day of the week. Where I find behavior trees especially hard to keep track of in my head is when they have a lot of conditions like that. I find conditions just expressed in code. It's just the way I'm used to reading code. I've been doing it for 40 years or more, since I was a kid. And so you can get a lot of information out of just this, right? And anyway, I could completely change my mind. And actually, there's an argument to be made that you could have both if you did it right. But this is the way I'm doing it right now, and I think it will work. It's so far the only version that we've tried so far that I didn't already want to throw away a week and a half later. So this one's holding up pretty well. In fact, I was able to modify, like before, if you had a run method like this and you fell out of the bottom without doing anything, it would consider that working, and it would just keep running your activity over and over again. But it occurred to me that the most likely case is that when you fall out of the bottom of a run method without having forked anything, that means you're done. You're not still working on it, you're done. Otherwise, you would have forked some other thing. Or if you specifically are waiting for something, you would have set your status to, you would have set your status to working. So right now, if the run falls out and no status has been set and there's no fork, it just considers that success. And then I had to go back and fix all of my activities and I may change these to be called behavior instead, because that's not a word I'm using in the new version yet. So, but that's where we are. What else could I show while we're here? I mean, real quickly, we could make her open and close the chests. I think I could make that work. Let me see. So let's, like, with our 11 minutes left, let me see if I can, when she's getting an object out of the chest, make her, I think there's down here. So this is how the walk works, right? Or the get by type, rather. We tell it we want this many of some type of object, 2 rods, 3 rods, whatever. So it sets up these, the walk to nearest object, which is basically pathfinding. This says as soon as I bump into a container, check that out. So just give it a list of nearby containers. It will check all of them for the object you're looking for. When it finds it, it'll put it in the found. So it sets all that up, and then the run basically says, if I haven't found it yet, if I've already found it, then we're done. So like if for whatever reason I'm run and I already have these items in my inventory, I'm done. If I don't have any containers to search, I'm done, but I failed. Like maybe there are no chests nearby. Otherwise, wherever I'm standing, go through all of the chests I want to look in and see if I'm already standing next to one of them. And if I am standing next to it, look in that chest and go ahead and remove it from the places I need to walk to. But look in that chest. If I find the item, put the item in. And if we found it, then we're done. If we've changed the things we're walking to, that needs a restart. So we'll restart that, we'll rerun that particular activity start method. That's something that's difficult to do in a behavior tree. So this may be one of the cases where activities are actually better to be able to reuse that with a new state, because usually Well, I guess it depends on how you've implemented behaviors. And so then we walk, and if that happens to fail because we got blocked or something, then it fails. But otherwise, we fall at the bottom, and we consider success if we haven't forked to walk. And so when this is all done, we have an object in our hands. But this is the... Where is the thing that does the actual transfer? This right here. So we didn't do it as an action. That's going to make it tricky to open and close the chest. So let's make a quick and dirty... Hold on. Get object from chest action. I just want that cut so that I can easily find it later, because this file is big and I need to transfer a lot of things to real code, because this particular script's getting big. And so what I will do is I steal the walk through door. Is it? Yeah. Oh yeah, it's the nav. Yeah. Let's see. Temp door. Yeah. It's this thing right here. So we will say it's like weird, because of where I want to do this, I'm just going to make a class with a static method in it. And what we want to do is we want to say get object from chest. We want the chest and the entity ID object. Okay. And so I think we don't need any of this. We can probably, we need to put the agent in here. We need to put a position in. Okay, so here we want to open the chest. Then we'll do the get the object, and then we'll close the chest, and we'll return that as a sequence of actions. And so we need an action here. Abstract agent position action. I think it's going to want a cost and a position. And let's see what blows up. It should have trouble compiling. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. Those are defined in another package. Or another script. Oh, and I've got this weird word just hanging out in the middle of nowhere. Which I'm surprised it didn't complain about. But because these actions live over here, I have to make this live over here too. This is one of the problems of not having real. So this should all still work. And we should be able to say... We don't need this, we only need this. And normally you'd make sure that you're standing next to the thing. Get object. What was the thing I I called it this. This is why I did it. There we go. This. I want to steal this. Oh. This is the part I want to steal. And then we'll add another parameter as well. So we'll add a collection target inventory. Target results. Yeah. And so this becomes object. Oh. Contained in, yes. Mob, call it agent ID. Let's see if that compiles. Nope. New contained in. Okay, we just need I like being able to import right in the middle of the file. It's a pain later if you're trying to track down what you're doing. Okay, so that compiled apparently, or no, that's a failure of a different kind. Add item, add object. Did it compile this time? It did. Alright. Of course, now I need to say create get object from chest action. This is the pain about communicating between two different scripts here. It's not straightforward. So I probably didn't actually need to create this class, but get object from chest action. Get object from chest. Send agent ID. Chest object results. Okay, oops, let's spell it correctly. See if that compiles. Yeah, so this stuff's a closure in the global bindings that any of the scripts can call, whereas the class is going to be private to this particular script. So over here, we ought to be able to say action equals, oh, I needed to take the whole thing, so we got a lot of things to pass. And so we want the agent context, agent position, context, agent, get entity ID. Okay, I guess I will be consistent. The chest is the contain target dot value. The item is item, and the results are found. And so we ought to be able to say context. Is there a fork action? I think just fork action. And it knows. Should be smart enough to know. Okay, so let me reset the objects. So they're back where they're supposed to be. Yep, so hammer's back over there. Alright, brain. Make a dagger. Or just get a hammer. She didn't get the hammer. Something went wrong. I made that Pepsi last the whole 2 hours. Okay. It's gotta be something silly. Did it even run our... Or did we not get to the... So this is another problem I've been dealing with. Sometimes the get action doesn't actually get close enough. That could be what happened here. Like, it has the... Never got closer than... It's trying to get a specific object, not an object of the type, and I don't think I've fixed that one. So let's try... so let's move her back out here. And let's try getting a rod, because that's using the get by type stuff. And if it's working, we'll see her open and close the chest twice, once for each rod. Oh, she's got to go to do two. Ah, so it did fail. Okay, cool. At least that's a change. All right, no signature method create get object from chest action. Oh, see, this is the same problem I had in the reverse. So actually what we want to do is this is so dumb. This is so dumb. This is like entirely because of the nature of these two, the fact that this is in one script and this is in the other script. It's really dumb. In fact, we don't need to do this. I can just put this all right in here. So sometimes I get tripped up by actual problems, and sometimes I get tripped up by problems I've manufactured for myself because of the environment I'm prototyping in, and they have nothing to do with anything. And so we want to say closure get object from chest, and then return create object from chest, and pass all these things in. Pass agent ID chest object results. I'll show you what I'm going to do in a second. Okay, and so then this needs to be static. And then so we will set an initializer. And so this is just here to say action helper create object from chest equals whatever this closure we did over here. And so what this is saying is when this script runs, it's going to set this class up with a static member, but it can't actually get this yet because it doesn't exist yet. So when we have like a special ability to set an initializer that when this script is run, it will set this value, but only after it's like actually running in the game. And so this should wire everything up. And it didn't fail to compile. Let's see if I got it all right. Let's try again. To brain rod. Nope. No signature method. Oh, I didn't actually change. I changed the name of the method, and I didn't change it down here. Let's try again. And again and again and again until we get it right. Alright, so hopefully this stream was at least educational from my... okay. No signature method. Context fork. Actable target action. Okay, so there is a way to fork an action. This is client. That's not what I want. I want core. The core, man, my daughter is playing, I should kill Steam, in fact. That's probably, come on. Exit Steam, there we go. Alright. That way that's not distracting me down there. I keep thinking people are trying to chat to me. I have no idea if anybody's still on the stream, to be honest, because I don't have my little indicator anymore. Okay, so let's real quickly figure out what the method signature is, because I feel like so activity kernel fork run action. Jeez. I should call it fork, but I think I chose not to because it's not the background like the same as an activity would be exactly. Alright, let's try again. Will this work? Will she open the chest? Rod. Yes. Alright. She's going to grab one from there. Uh-oh. There's already an action forked. Yeah, but that action should have completed. Alright, well, it worked in principle, and there's now some... The action doesn't terminate for some reason. But it works in principle. So we cancel all that. If we run it again, so if we tried to get her to create a dagger, it's going to be the same kind of issue. She's going to go and get the hammer. Oh. No, because she's already running an activity. Cancel should have cleared all of the stuff. Anyway, so these are details to work out. But you saw the chest open and close, hopefully. Yeah, so there's still an activity running somehow, or it's not liking. Why isn't it? So there's something weird going on. Like, let's try Now that we've reset it. She should be able to... Failed to create dagger. Yeah, so something is preventing things from working now. Anyway, so these are things I have to sort out. But you saw the... So it already has the object. Yeah, okay, cool. I need to stop here because this was the bug I was trying to track down earlier. Like, somehow this thinks that she already has the object, and I wonder if it's a cross-script state issue. Alright, let me just check that. So, like, this was the problem I was talking about earlier where some random state happens where she fails to get the hammer. And it used to be there was a bug in the error handling code where she would still try to go and she'd still create the dagger. But now we catch this case where we failed to get the hammer. So there's still a problem with the error handling, but I may have just tracked down what the issue is. So with nothing changed, like if I tried this again, it should fail again. Right? But now if I go and I reset the nav, so these actions get fixed. So if that's an activity issue, not an action issue. Maybe I'm incorrect. Let's reset both scripts, which resets the contents of their instances and whatnot. And let me try again. And if it fails again, well, then I just have something to look into. So yeah, no, she can't get the hammer. Okay, so I have something to look into. This is actually the bug I was trying to track down earlier, so I'm actually in a good spot. Of course, this is not on my development computer, so I have to investigate timidly. But if you stuck around this long, thanks for joining. And if you showed up late, thanks for joining too. Other than that, let's see. And so, like, I have like this nifty stream thing. Oops, I hate when Windows does that. The stream controller where I can actually go. It should work. It didn't. It should work. There we go. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. It really does help feed the algorithm, especially after I've been away for 2 weeks. It'd really help if you guys all like it and comment on the video. Whatever. YouTube likes it. Thanks to the patrons. I probably need to update this. I think there's some patrons who have dropped off. But thanks for joining. Have a great week. I will see you next Friday or Saturday, whichever day I do it. Thanks, guys.